Hi, my name is Mara Mead, and I will be talking about ethnic studies in the realm of sports for my final presentation. So the first person I want to talk about is Michael Vick, who was an incredible athlete in the National Football League. He was most well known for his speed, his ability to throw on the run, and his technical footwork, which allowed him to beat a lot of players. So he was a very standout quarterback, and he was most likely headed towards the Hall of Fame, considering he had so many great years in the NFL. Unfortunately, like all superstar athletes, for some reason, they make poor decisions, and they do things that sort of are career-ending. I'm from Vegas. Recently, Henry Ruggs, a top player from the 2021 draft, killed someone while drunk driving, going 160 miles an hour, killing a senior citizen. Other athletes like Deshaun Watson, Ray Rice, all did very egregious acts. In Michael Vick's case, he was a top athlete when it was discovered that he had a dog fighting kennel with over 49 dogs that he was abusing. As a result, he spent his time in jail for, obviously, animal abuse, and he put a lot of money towards saving the dogs that he abused and sort of doing the right thing. When he came back to the league, he was good, not as good, but sort of that superstar athlete that everyone recognized sort of dissolved. So the article I chose is sort of this connection between the racial contract written by Charles W. Mills and African American and colored athletes within the NFL, and it talks about the set of agreements between whites that regard non-whites as inferior. So when you think about any major scandal that happens in the NFL, what comes to mind is like sort of African Americans and people of color. There's not really any notable white athletes who blow up. So yeah, and sort of the article sort of talks about why that's sort of happening, and it's because, I don't know, mainstream media just blows up African American scandals versus white scandals, and it's sort of this connotation that whites are seen as superior, which is what we've talked about all semester long. The next thing I want to talk about is the national anthem. So the national anthem is a symbol of unity. Prior to every sporting event within the United States and internationally, the country plays the national anthem sort of as a representation of equality, patriotism. In 2016, Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, was kneeling because he was protesting against increased black violence within the U.S. I think it's ironic that very recently in 2021, the Black Lives Matter protest sort of dominated many cities, and it sparked lots of riots, protests, lots of damages, and it's just funny how Colin Kaepernick was way ahead of his time in protesting for something that he saw was right, and a lot of people were scared to sort of stand up for the issue. He said, "I'm not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." At first, no one stood with him. They all stood in silence just because they were scared of the consequences that would come with obviously going against the rules and the regulations. But now, today, people aren't scared of that anymore. You can see the Lakers, the Patriots, Megan Rapinoe on the U.S. women's national team, and some baseball players all kneeling to show their support for black oppression within the United States. So at the end of Colin Kaepernick's 2016 year, he went to be a free agent because the 49ers didn't support his position and his voice. And so till this day, he hasn't been signed again, which goes to show you that he was blackballed, and that, I don't know, the people in charge of the NFL sort of didn't agree with what he did. The next thing I want to talk about is migrant workers and just sort of human rights in general. So the World Cup takes place every 4 years. It gains the recognition of over 3 billion people who watch it worldwide. This year it took place in Qatar. Why it took place in Qatar is totally unanswered by FIFA, which is the governing body of soccer. Qatar is such a small country that it needed to build 8 new stadiums. It needed to build a whole new infrastructure for roads, streets. It needed to build hotels to be able to house all the people that would come for the event. And so basically the workers that they appointed to set this whole thing up were migrant workers from India and Southern Asia. And so basically they were treated like slaves. They were treated with the kafala treatment, which is basically this idea that they're being forced to work. They're going unpaid and they're working excessive hours and in terrible conditions where, as a result, many of them died. And so this information was leaked, and a lot of athletes right now in the World Cup are protesting this, just because why would FIFA do this in the first place? Why would they host an event in a country that's obviously not suitable to host such a large event with so many necessities? The next thing I want to talk about is sort of the female pay gap in sports. So should women be paid as much as men? I think based on the amount of revenue that they bring in, they should obviously be paid accordingly. But currently, because sports support a system of pure meritocracy, which is the idea that the fastest, the most skilled athlete is what people want to see, then sort of female sports don't fit that domain. I mean, every sport, boxing, it's the amount of money that boxers get paid is through pay-per-view. Every sport is through viewership, and to suggest that women should be paid as much as men when they aren't bringing anywhere near the amount of viewership that men are, I don't know. I think I'm disagreeable in that sense. That's not to say that they don't deserve to get paid if they're obviously creating the same viewership. But yeah, I think that's still up for debate. It's a very controversial topic. Most recently, the U.S. Women's national team filed a lawsuit, and they won the case, so now they're being paid as much as men. Yeah. I think, and then also, there's this photo of these 5 athletes, and I think it's ironic that I had to find the names of 3 of them just because I didn't know who they were, just simply because I don't watch female sports. I don't know why, but it's just, I don't know, mainstream media just only puts out male sports. I had to look up Asia Wilson on the Aces, Hillary Knight on the U.S. Women's National Hockey Team, and Keala Kennelly, a big wave surfer. And the last topic I wanted to talk about was the Olympics and transgender. This is a picture of Laurel Hubbard, a transgender woman who recently won the powerlifting Olympic competition. And the article I chose basically talks about how do transgender athletes have an unfair advantage when it comes to sporting events, sporting competitions. And I think they do. A lot of the media proves that transgender athletes are winning at much significant rates than other athletes, and I think that's unfair to just female athletes in general. And it's not that women are becoming men and then winning, it's only men are becoming women and are winning an absurd amount of events. So yeah, that's not to say that I don't support the LGBTQ movement, but I think it's just a controversial topic that needs to be addressed, because if I was an athlete competing with someone who had an unfair advantage, I would definitely go out and protest, because I've been working my whole life for this. And yeah. So these are my sources. All the sources I used were on the Copley Library website. I wanted to do this just because the World Cup was going on right now, and I could see all the sort of the connections we have to our class. So yeah, thank you.